Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and to this episode of Star Watch, which is a weekly astrological transit report. If you are new, my name is Jane. Thanks to everyone for being here. So we have a couple of transitions happening this week, and we're in a kind of a preparatory time as well for a couple of retrogrades that are going to be coming up later on. So first and foremost, on the 10th, we have Mars moving into Virgo. As it makes its way into Virgo, it's going to start kind of like immediately come into this opposition with Saturn. Now, I actually love Mars and Saturn transits. I mean, they're not always the best, but sometimes they can be really, really productive. And with Mars in Virgo, he is going to want to go to work. So this is a great complement to the Leo energy that is active. Venus is still in Leo. She's going to remain here for several months as she retrogrades here. Mercury is then going to enter Leo on the 11th. So the day after Mars comes into Virgo on the 10th, we have Mercury coming into Leo. Mercury in Leo is, I don't know, it's just putting us in this mode to make things happen. And Mars in Virgo complements that so well. Once in a while, adjacent signs like Virgo and Leo can really be fantastic partnership signs. And when both of these are active like this, depending on which signs we're talking about in the particular astrological environment, sometimes it's just like the perfect recipe to accomplish things. And I do think with a lot of the brainstorming and a lot of the kind of contemplation and feeling our way through things, not to mention we are coming down off of the full moon in Capricorn, which was a super moon. So it kind of had a heightened state of energy. And when we're talking about the moon, we're talking about our emotional body, our subconscious mind, and our physical body, and how all of these three things intertwine. And when we're really listening to our intuition and we're really listening to our higher self and that which is best for our highest good, we can't really go wrong here. And the playfulness of Leo is really starting to come out as well, and that will only get stronger as the sun comes into Leo later on too. And the playfulness of Leo is really egging us on. It's really kind of has that like, I dare you energy. I dare you to try it. I dare you to dip your toe in that pool, right? I dare you to say this. I dare you to create it. I dare you to try. And I think that inner voice that's like egging you on, as long as it's something that's constructive rather than self-destructive, you're golden. And this may not be like a livelihood switch. I'm not saying that everyone is going to be quitting their job and going and doing, something brand spanking new. But I do think there are new things that are starting to get incorporated into our lives. It's becoming more regular. There might be certain habits that Mars in Virgo is going to accentuate. The habit of, whether it's a hygiene habit or a behavioral habit or, a work ethic habit or whatever the case is, Mars is going to really accentuate that and rectify it. As Mars comes into this opposition with Saturn, it can really tighten us up. So anywhere where there's loose ends or we got a little sloppy or we got lazy or we procrastinated, Mars is going to come in and be like, I'm not going to let you get away with that. We're going to make this happen. We're going to make it right. We're going to fix it. We're going to go into the problem. We're not just going to sit there and let it linger out as this problem or this issue. We're going to take care of it. Saturn does not like loose ends. Virgo doesn't like it either. Loose ends, I don't know. I know we always fluctuate. Astrology is always fluctuating, and sometimes it's okay. Other times it's not. If the loose ends are getting in the way of your playtime, you need to take care of the loose ends. You need to stop procrastinating with whatever it is, because we want to prioritize the playfulness, the creativity, the passion, the sexuality, the connection, the pleasure, right? Which Leo is really all about. Now, I actually did not I don't really show a lot of the asteroids. The only one I do is Chiron, but I do want to point out, well, it's not an asteroid, but there is Black Moon Lilith is involved with this Venus retrograde. Okay, now Black Moon Lilith absolutely brings out an intensity with things. And I think Lilith is saying with the Venus, which is preparing to retrograde in the next couple of weeks. So she's already starting to slow down. We can see that Venus and Mars are going to start to separate as Mars continues on in his fast pace and Venus gets slower and slower. So we're starting to see that separation between Venus and Mars now. And Venus is coming into this delicate dance with Black Moon Lilith in Leo. And Lilith is adding a kind of a compulsion or an impulse or a raw, vulnerable, it's kind of like that place where we've been scorned, that place where we've been betrayed. You know, like if you were someone that was never allowed to play as a child, maybe you had to grow up really fast. This is probably bringing up a lot for you. But I don't think this Venus retrograde is about going deep into a healing place so much as it is of like, we'll do something about it. If this is an aspect of you that you don't like or you feel weak and you don't like that feeling, this is that chance to just focus and do it. So Lilith is starting to get involved, and she's starting to have a voice, and she's starting to stir up a lot of those feelings and a lot of those emotions and a lot of those passions. And especially if you've had anything bottled up, or if you've kept anything hidden from the world, or it was just an unexplored or unexpressed aspect of you, it's going to be really, really hard to keep that at bay right now. Okay, but it's not that we're completely abdicating the rest of life. Obviously, as Mars comes into Virgo, we have to take care of our stuff. Virgo can be chaotic, but the point of Virgo is to get ourselves together. Okay, so this is about, I always say Virgo is like the archetype of self-mastery, which is one of the reasons why Virgo people who have a lot of Virgo in their chart are notoriously, quote unquote, judgmental or critical, right? Not necessarily, I mean, if you are with a mature or an evolved Virgo, usually that goes inward as self-reflection and self-awareness rather than outward projecting and judging toward others. But if you do have a negative or an unevolved or an immature Virgo manifestation, it can get kind of nasty. And sometimes that nastiness, in terms of like us looking at something that we don't like, it can either be a negative experience or it can motivate us, right? If there's an aspect of your life that you're unhappy with, instead of just wallowing in sorrow and grief and self-pity, Mars in Virgo is like, why would I sit in self-pity when I could just like get up and do it? Just get up and do the work. Just get up and make it happen. And if there's anything that needs alignment or adjustment, this is absolutely the time. Okay. And the Leo stuff hopefully is going to make it more fun. To have Jupiter here in Taurus, which is a zodiac sign of abundance and bringing life, right? Please remember that Taurus is the zodiac sign opposite of Scorpio, which is associated with death. So we have a life-death axis going on. Jupiter is accentuating and magnifying that, all right? And it's really, really leaning in toward bringing life. It's more creative, and Taurus can be an exceptionally creative zodiac sign and archetype as well. Taurus and Leo is really pumping that creativity through. And our bodies, like I was talking about with the moon, as it's waning, coming down off that super full moon in Capricorn and makes its way to the new moon in Cancer, which is happening on the 17th, same day as the nodal transit, by the way. So that North Node is moving into Aries on the 17th. That's probably going to be an emotional day, but we'll talk more about that next week, okay? But as the moon is waning, and we have Cancer, the sun in Cancer, it is an excellent time for us to tune in with ourselves and ask ourselves what it is we're really thinking, what we're really feeling, where we're really being guided to dedicate time and energy and effort. And, and being honest with ourselves. One thing about Cancer and Leo, Cancer ruled by the moon, Leo ruled by the sun, these are the luminaries, and the luminaries are very much about our own personal experience and our own personal point of view. And I will say, that this is kind of a selfish time that we do, and I'm not saying you're completely disregarding everybody else. That's obviously not the case, but you have to be selfish a little in terms of what you want, what your truth truly is, what you're really thinking, what you're really feeling, because that's the only way that you're gonna get yourself fully aligned properly. We see this a lot in relationships where people self-abandon and they neglect their own needs and their own wants, and they continually accommodate for the other person. And that just leads to a disaster later on. So this is a time to recalibrate and get yourself on deck to make sure that moving forward, you're on stable ground. Because if you're not on stable ground, I think this Venus retrograde is going to be a bit of a tough transit because of Lilith involved and because of all the Leo energy. Again, I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but we are in preparation mode. Chiron is also retrograding at the end of the month, so he's already starting to slow down. And the wounds and the pain and the scorn and the betrayal, they can pop up, and I'm not saying they're going to ruin your day or anything, but it just might be the little words inside your head of, oh, you don't deserve that. Oh, you're never going to be good enough. It's never going to work. You suck. Like whatever these horrible things are that might pop up, it is possible. And we just need to know that it's astrological and we don't have to succumb to a lot of those voices or those narratives, those scripts, if you will. I had something else I was going to say and now I cannot remember. We do have Venus. Oh, here comes my cat. She's come up to say hello. Venus is in a square here with Uranus, which can make things volatile and sudden. Squares can be interesting. Sometimes they can bring out difficult things for the sake of pushing something forward. It creates that desire to move, and actually a lot of really successful people have strong squares in their chart. They may take a while to get over, but eventually they start realizing how much power a square or a 90-degree angle actually has. So this is a strong pivot point, and this is one of the reasons, and I have many, many, many reasons why I say this, but this is one of the many reasons why I'm calling 2023 a massive pivot year, is because this Venus retrograde is happening in a square with Uranus, okay? And it's also coming very close to an opposition with Pluto, okay? No, that's not correct. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing. Disregard. I was looking at, I was thinking of the wrong degree. I'm sorry. But anyway, it's with Uranus really. So yeah, I think it's an exciting time. And if you're feeling good and if you're feeling aligned and you're feeling connected, this is going to be the time when you really start putting what's required into something to be able to make something happen. Leo season is the big manifestation season. This is where we create. That's the motto of Leo. This is where creation comes into being. When we go through the mottos, right? Aries is I am. So it's just an initiation season. Taurus is I have, where we collect the resources and make sure that we're stable. We think in Gemini, we feel in Cancer, and we create. And we utilize and leverage our own will in Leo. Okay? And then we figure everything out in Virgo. As Mars comes into Virgo, it is a Mercury ruled sign. There is going to be an aspect of chaos, but I actually like the chaos. As much as Virgo is about putting things in order, sometimes the process of getting things in order can be very messy. It's like cleaning out your garage or your filing cabinet where you pull everything out and then you put everything back in an organized manner. And it's usually that time when you start pulling everything out and you realize, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff in here. This is going to take way longer than I thought. Right? That's the chaos. That's, but it's a part of the process. Things have to get messy before they can get put back together again. So don't worry if your life is not this straight arrow, perfectly planned. I know exactly what I'm doing. This is perfect. That's just simply not going to be the case, and that's fine. Get messy, get sloppy. It's a creative time, and there is nothing about creativity that is linear usually, most of the time. So we can operate non-linearly as we activate more and more of Virgo and Libra and Scorpio and even Sag. Things will slowly come into a sharper focus. So we can just have faith that that is inevitably where we are going to end up, and that is okay. All right? All right, you guys. I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. Have an amazing week. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.